Okay people, here let's do another intermediate algorithm scripting from freeCodeCamp solution. This one is seek and destroy. So if you've seen my other videos, you know I like to take the instructions. I like to do this in the REPL.it because this just gives you test results, doesn't really show your console logs and stuff like that. Anyway, I just like to work in REPL. It works for me. You don't have to do it this way. It works for me. So I copy this in here, copy all this, put it in REPL. This doesn't need to be quite this large. Oops. Whoa. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright. Provided with an initial array, that's this, the ARR, the array. The first argument in the destroy function, followed by one or more arguments. Remove all elements from the initial array that are of the same value as these arguments. So in other words, when you call this function, so here's the array that they're talking about. And then there's other arguments. So remember, when you define a function, you can just leave this, this parameter is required, right? You can throw other stuff in after it. And when you do that, you can access these by something called arguments, right? So if, for instance, if I said so we literally used the keyword argument, so it returned an object here, right? Well, I guess it's an object of an array. That's a weird notation. I'm not familiar with what's gone there. Anyway, so the 0 item in this array, or maybe because it's like a node list or something, it's not really an array. I think that's what it is. But the 0 position is the array, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 array. The first position is that first optional argument, this one right here, right? And then the third position of our node list, or I'm assuming it's a node list, is why just give me this thing. 3. Node list is like, looks like an array, but it doesn't have all the functions, methods that array prototype has. Right. Point is, we can access these. If we put another one on there, it will show up over here now too. It doesn't matter how many we put in here. If you just use the arguments, you can get them all. Okay. So let's see. So what we need to do is, provided with the initial array, right, and followed by one argument. Remove all elements from the initial array that are of the same value as these arguments. So we're saying we got to loop through this somehow, or somehow loop through these, and say, hey, if you guys, these two, either one of you are in here, they got to go. So you can even just tell by the little syntax highlighting that happened there what we need to do. We need to get rid of this and this, 2 and 3 and 2 and 3, right? So we should be left with 1 and 1. And for that matter, let's take a look. Copy. I like to also sometimes copy some of these tests over here. And it says this is the same as this test description is the same as what they're showing us here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 should return 1, 1. Just like we said, if we get rid of these arguments, these are gone, we're left with 1, 1. Alright, so let's get, we have the array by itself, right, already. We can get that. What do we want to do? We want to get the arguments. We can get that already, by just arguments. But we really want to have it, we want to be able to loop through one or the other, but arguments has the original array also. So what if we get rid of, what do we say, what if we get rid of that original array and just get the arguments? What if we say, like, arguments dot shift, right? Does that, so what does that do for us? arguments.shift is not a function. That's because arguments is not really an array like we mentioned before, so it doesn't have all these. So how can we make an array? What if we say we can do spread the arguments array or node list items into an array, right? So if you're unfamiliar with this notation, this is the spread operator, which is an ES6 thing. Takes the contents of an argument of a array or a node list and returns them basically. So we're returning them into an array, right? Like if I got rid of this, like we're just saying const arguments only equals an empty array. We're saying, well, we don't want it empty. We want it to have spread these arguments into it. So let's see what arguments only returns. Well, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, because we did. All right, so we just made it into array. That's not weird. We just made the arguments into an array. You know how we can test if that's true? We can say array.isArray, and this will do a test. It should say true or false. Oh, it's because I deleted that line. So this is array.isArray is basically returns true or false for whatever you put in here. We put in this arguments only, so it is in fact an array now. Okay, so we got that. So let's see something here. Log array and arguments only. Array. So we have access now to the array, right? The array is just the initial array, and the arguments only. Oh no, we don't have arguments only yet. We still have the arguments only, but with the first item. But so what we want to do is get rid of that first item. I'm not really worried about mutating that, right? Because we still have. Yeah, I'm not worried about mutating that, so I'm just gonna say. Arguments only dot shift shirt. Now we have, there we go. So now we have access to the array by itself and the arguments only as an array by itself, right? So we should be able to loop through one or the other and get the results, right? Or better yet, right? Shouldn't we, if we're saying we have these items and we want to go get rid of these, loop through here and check, right? But isn't that really, that makes me think filter, right? Which is another array method, right? So let's think about that. So what do we say? Want to loop through the initial array, right? So we say array.filter, and this takes a callback function. A function for filter is just a truth test. It either returns true or false. If it returns true, well, first of all, array.filter returns a new array with whatever the callback function. The callback function returns true or false. If it's true, it returns that item into a new array. So we have to say, let's say, final array. Alright? And what's our callback function? So each item in the array callback function is going to return, if it's true, we don't want it to return, right? So let's what are we trying to test? If it's, so we're looping through, right? Saying, so we've got this first item, the first time through the filter is this, and we're saying, is this in here? If it's, well, not in here, it's in here, the arguments only, right? If it's, so how do we check if it's in there? You can do, since it's an array now, we can do includes, right? So you can do this with an array. This is a built-in array method. It says if it includes, if this array includes some item, it's true or false, right? So we could say, well, let's see what happens if I just run this. What does this do? Undefined, because we're not telling it to return anything right now. So it returns undefined by default. 2, 3, 2, 3. So we actually have the opposite. So what if we just do the opposite? Is that it? Looks like we might have it already. Let's bring it back here. There we go. Cool. Alright, another one down. I was a little late with this one, but got it. Alright. See you for the next one.